difficult to it's difficult to do because shellfish water classification. I had a conversation with him earlier. Not all of our classifications are based on the geometric mean. It's due to spikes in the data, so it's kind of misleading if we use just the geometric mean. Where I can say, if you were to use the old fecal coliform standard for recreation, that blue is less than the old recreational criteria. So we're looking at different things. It's difficult because we could have stations that will pass the geometric mean for shellfish classification in improved waters, but we're failing on the estimated 90th percentile, which is why it can't be classified as improved. So there's different types of tests that go into it when we look at these on classification.
Bob, just for simplicity's sake for everybody, is it safe to say that over 200 is definitely no good for shellfish?
Yeah. If you're over 200, that would not be.
14 is the standard, right?
Well, 14 is a geometric mean of 14 would be for approved waters. Restricted would be 88. So it would be prohibited, but we have to remember that when they use 14, that's a geometric mean of multiple samples, not one event. It's multiple samples over multiple years. So the classification is a little bit different than doing an intensive study. We got into the storm study on the 18th. I want to point out that 55, where we had those high hits on the first one, we're not seeing on the second one. And it's really interesting because that area 55 where we saw in the first storm event, it's basically right in the middle of where we had that orange downgrade in classification, which is very, very interesting when we first saw those results. So not seeing it on that 55. I will go into a little detail shortly. Yeah, speed it up. This is one way we look at it too. We take all those different stations we have and I'll point to 55. This is the geometric mean of all the wet weather. It was off the scale. By the second event, we did not see that impact. So you move on to the next one. So from all those stations, we come up with what it was, domestic, whether it was domestic animal, human, or wildlife. In many of the areas, it's a mix. So we don't know how much of each percent which one is. So the main thing is we need to address the things that we can now that we feel that we can address while we're looking for those other sources. We never want to see human, but it might be a very small percentage of what's causing the bacterial load. Site 55, I will really focus on because we had 100,000 hit on the first flush on the first storm event. Right at River Road, Navesink River Road, right 100,000, but you can go to the next slide. So we had that on the first flush. I talked with Monmouth County Health Department. They went into the area and they walked around. I asked them what they knew about a small lake in that area. They didn't know much about it, so he investigated. What he found was horse milkings and horse manure from stalls that were piled up and disposed of along the top edge of the lake, which is right at the end where it runs off to the spillway. Called Department of Ag, had them talk to the owners. They looked at it and they said you have to do best management practices. Monmouth County Health Department, DEP Land Use went back in and they talked to the owners and said we should really clean this area up and stop disposing of it in that way. Now, when we saw 718, we did not see that result. That weekend before, they had cleaned it up. Monmouth County went out Monday morning on the 18th. We did the study on Monday night. And what they had done is I got the email and he said they cleaned it up. It's all been disposed of. It's all cleaned up and it looks really good. They did a great job cleaning it up. And all of a sudden, we're seeing much lower results. It was a much smaller rain event, so we'd like to get another event to confirm some of this because there's probably other sources out there too. But it was clearly something that close proximity at those levels that was bad. So moving forward, we've defined specific hotspot areas that we know we have the fecal coliform coming from. So There are things that we can do, such as ensuring proper waste management. That includes dogs. I mentioned it at a mayor's meeting last week. For everybody that doesn't know, 1 gram of dog waste can contain up to 23 million fecal coliform in 1 gram. So when you think of a number of, 1,000 or 200, that's 23 million in 1 gram, and on average, looking up the statistics, a dog could produce up to a ½ pound a day, which is about 227 grams, and it's 23 million in 1 gram. So when we have non-point source runoff, a simple thing of making sure dogs are being picked up after, and that's not getting into the storm drains, is certainly something can easily help. It's not the only source, but it certainly can help. We also internally within DEP to work with our stormwater people, so we go through and look at things that we found in other areas. General maintenance of stormwater outfalls and catch basins. Cleaning those out from things that get built up in them has been effective in other areas. We've done studies. And we're going to continue to collect the samples as we move forward from all these stations, but we're also working with the towns that if we know there's an outflow problem and we can sample up in the infrastructure, we're going to move up with the towns and help them try to zero in closer on what might be the source.
Thank you, Bob.